If you've been tired lately, this message is for you. Maybe it's the kind of tired that sleep can't fix, the quiet heaviness that follows you from room to room, even on the calmest days. And somewhere around age 40, 50, or even 70, we begin to understand something we used to overlook. Peace isn't a destination out there. It's not hidden in a perfect life or a perfect plan or a perfect version of ourselves. Peace has been closer than we thought. It lives in the places we return to every day, our kitchen, our living room, that soft corner near the window where the morning light falls just right. Today, here at Simple Earth Studio, I want to share a gentle reminder inspired by the Japanese way of living. A calm home doesn't need to be big, beautiful, or flawless. It just needs to be simple. A cup placed carefully on the table, a clean, open surface, a quiet color palette, the kind of space where your breath naturally slows and your shoulders finally relax. In the end, peace isn't something we chase, it's something we create, slowly, softly, right where we are. If your home has felt heavy lately, maybe it's not the house. Maybe it's your heart asking for room to breathe. I want to tell you a small story today, a simple one, but maybe it's exactly the reminder you've needed. A few years ago, a Japanese friend told me something I never forgot. He said, "Your home is your mind, in physical form." At first, I laughed it off. I thought, how could the pile of old mail on my table or the closet I avoid opening possibly reflect what's going on inside me? But the truth had been sitting there quietly all along. When life feels rushed, when worries start stacking up, when the weight of decisions becomes too much, our homes change too. They get crowded, they get loud, they get heavy, just like us. And maybe you felt that. Maybe you've walked into your living room and felt an invisible tension in the air. Maybe the drawers you never open have started to feel like small reminders of all the things you still haven't done. Maybe each corner of the house holds a little bit of yesterday that you're still trying to carry today. The Japanese believe something very simple. Your living space shapes your inner space. And once you hear that, it's hard to unhear it, because deep down, you already know it's true. Think about the last time you walked into a clean, sunlit room. The stillness, the clarity, the soft exhale that leaves your body before you even realize you were holding your breath. It's not just a room, it's a gentle invitation to come home to yourself again. Now compare that to the feeling of stepping into a cluttered space, stacks of things you don't use, objects that no longer bring joy, noise in the form of stuff. You don't even touch anything, yet your shoulders rise, your mind tightens. You feel less safe, less calm, less you. That's what the Japanese understand so well. A home filled with too much becomes a mind filled with too much. But a home with order, with space, with light, becomes a mind with room to think, breathe, and begin again. And here's the part I love the most. You don't need to live in Japan to have a Japanese home. You don't need tatami floors or sliding doors or perfect aesthetics. You just need intention and tiny, gentle steps. Because a peaceful home isn't built overnight. It's built slowly, quietly, one small decision at a time. Maybe it starts with a single table. You clear it, wipe it down, and suddenly something inside you feels lighter too, as if a small window just opened in your mind. Maybe you choose one drawer, one shelf, one corner, and you remove what no longer serves the life you want to live now. You might notice something surprising. As your home becomes quieter, so do you. As space opens around you, space opens inside you. As light returns to the room, a little bit of light returns to your heart. Japanese minimalism isn't about emptiness, it's about intention, breathing room, and choosing what matters. A lamp that gives warm morning light, a cup you genuinely enjoy holding, a plant that reminds you life is still growing, a chair placed in a spot where you can just sit without rushing, without performing, without needing to be anything other than human. And maybe this is where the story becomes yours. Because if you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, or beyond, you've lived through enough seasons to know that peace rarely comes from adding more. It comes from letting go, from making space, from allowing yourself to choose simplicity, not as an aesthetic, but as a way of breathing again. Maybe you've spent a lifetime taking care of others. Maybe you've spent years building, collecting, accomplishing, and now something inside is whispering that it's time to return to what's essential. A home that doesn't overwhelm you, a space that doesn't talk over your thoughts, a corner where you can drink tea and watch the light move across the floor, a room where you feel safe, soft, and finally at ease. This isn't about perfection. It's about peace. It's about creating a home that holds you gently, the way life should have all along. So if your home feels heavy lately, start small. Clean one surface, open one window, let one beam of natural light touch the room, and let that be enough for today. Because the truth is, you don't transform a home, you transform yourself, and the home simply follows. And maybe as you make these small changes, you'll begin to notice something beautiful. Your heart feels a little lighter, your mind feels a little clearer, and your home, slowly, quietly, becomes a place where peace can finally stay.
There's a beautiful idea in Japanese living, simple, quiet, understated, that reminds us to return to ourselves, to stop fighting the pace of the world and instead soften into the rhythm of life. And it all begins with something so small, we often forget its power. 1. Let the light in. In Japan, light isn't just illumination, it's nourishment. It's a gentle presence that lifts the spirit without asking for anything in return. Imagine this. It's early morning, the house is still, the world hasn't begun tugging at you yet. You walk to your window, place your hand on the curtain, and pull it slowly aside. And in that simple motion, you allow the soft morning light to spill across the room, warming the wooden floor, touching the edges of the furniture, settling quietly on your skin. You don't rush. You don't think about your to-do list. You just let the light in. Because sometimes peace doesn't arrive as a grand revelation. Sometimes it enters like sunlight, gentle, patient, waiting for you to make space for it. For people who've lived long enough to know that life is both beautiful and exhausting, this is a reminder. You deserve light. You deserve warmth. You deserve to soften. Let the light in, not only into your home, but into your mind. 2. Choose less to gain more. There's a truth the Japanese understand well. You don't need more things, you need more space to breathe. Think about the rooms you've lived in through the years. How many objects were kept out of habit? How many stayed simply because they were always there? Now imagine a room with only what matters. A wooden chair, a single vase, a table worn smooth by years of use. Not empty, not bare, just honest. When we choose less, we choose clarity. We choose peace over clutter. We choose intention over noise. The older we get, the more we realize that the weight we carry is rarely emotional alone. It's the physical surroundings we allow to overwhelm us. A simpler room becomes a simpler mind, and a simpler mind becomes a quieter heart. This isn't about getting rid of things. It's about keeping what makes your life feel alive and letting go of what never truly mattered. 3. Bring nature inside. You don't need a green thumb. You don't need acres of land. You don't even need a spacious home. A single plant can change the energy of an entire room. A small pot of bamboo on a shelf, a branch placed in a quiet corner, a simple flower in an old glass jar. Nature knows how to soften a space. More importantly, it knows how to soften us. Some people spend years searching for peace, not realizing it could begin with watering a plant in the morning or watching sunlight move across a leaf during the day. The Japanese bring nature indoors not for decoration, but for connection. Connection to something living, something growing, something calming. And in that connection, they find presence, because it's impossible to rush when you're watching something quietly bloom. 4. Create silent corners. Every Japanese home, no matter how small, has a space for stillness. It could be a reading corner, a tea corner, a meditation corner, or simply a chair facing the window. But it exists, and it exists for one reason: to remember yourself. In a noisy world, in a busy life, in a mind that has carried decades of memories, responsibilities, and unspoken stories, having a silent corner is a gift you give your soul. You don't need to meditate for hours. You don't need rituals or candles. Just a tiny space that tells you, this is where I pause. This is where I breathe. This is where I return. For many people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, resilience has been your companion for decades. But this season of life invites something different. Not toughness, but tenderness. A silent corner helps you practice that tenderness. 5. Keep things clean. A clean space is a clean mind. You don't need to deep clean your home every day. You don't need to organize everything into perfection. But 5 minutes each morning, just 5, can shift the entire energy of a room and of you. Straighten the blanket on the sofa. Wipe the wooden table with a warm cloth. Put away the cup you left from last night. Small acts, gentle acts, and yet when repeated daily, they create something profound. A sense of steadiness, a feeling of order, a home that supports your peace rather than steals it. In Japan, cleaning isn't a chore, it's a form of care for the home and for the spirit. When you clean something, you're not just wiping dust, you're clearing your mind, you're grounding yourself, you're saying, I deserve a calm space, and you do. 6. Add meaning, not decorations. Walk into a Japanese-inspired home and you'll notice something. There's no clutter, but there is soul. Because the Japanese decorate not with abundance, but with intention. A painting that carries a memory, a ceramic cup repaired with gold, a family photo placed quietly on a shelf, a handmade item kept for years because it means something. The home becomes a story, your story, and the older we become, the more powerful that story is. You don't need more decorations. You need objects that reflect your life, your values, your memories, objects that remind you of who you are and what you love. Meaning over quantity, presence over appearance, heart over perfection. That's the Japanese way, and it can be yours. There's a quiet moment in every person's life, usually somewhere between the rush of responsibilities and the silence of the home. When you finally admit to yourself, I can't keep living like this. Not because you failed, not because you're weak, but because you've been carrying too much for too long. Maybe that moment came to you this morning.
small ways: the clutter in your home, the noise in your mind, the constant feeling that you're running but not really going anywhere. And here's the truth no one tells you. You don't need to change your entire life to feel better. You just need one small step. Years ago, I met a woman in her late 50s, gentle, quiet, and tired in a way that went deeper than the body. She told me that life had become a blur. Every day felt like a long list of tasks. Her home felt heavy. Her mind felt crowded. And peace, well, that felt like something she didn't deserve anymore. One morning, without any big plan, she simply opened her living room window. That was it, just a small, ordinary action. But the cool air touched her face, the sunlight softened the room, and for the first time in a long time, she felt something shift. The next day, she removed one item from her home, an old vase she never liked. The day after that, she placed a tiny white flower in a jar next to her favorite chair. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just small steps. She didn't know it then, but she was quietly rebuilding her life, not by forcing change, but by inviting space. Sometimes healing doesn't come from dramatic decisions or perfect plans. Sometimes healing begins the moment you allow a little more light in. And maybe that's exactly what you need right now. Maybe you don't need to clean the whole house. You only need to clear the corner where you sit. Maybe you don't need to reinvent your life. You just need to soften one moment of your day. Start by opening a window. Let the world breathe with you. Remove one item that no longer brings you peace. Add a little light, a candle, a lamp, a morning sunbeam. Place a small flower beside the chair where you rest. Bit by bit, your home will become a place of healing, and your mind a quieter, deeper place. There is something profoundly human about simple actions. People often underestimate how powerful they are. We tend to believe that transformation requires intensity, strict discipline, or grand decisions. But that's not how inner peace works, especially for those of us who have lived long enough to know that life rarely goes the way we expect. Real change is gentle. It grows slowly. It begins almost invisibly. Maybe you used to give all your energy to others, to your job, your family, your responsibilities. Maybe you spent years pushing down your own needs because there was always something more urgent to handle. But now, maybe this is the season of your life when you get to breathe again, when you get to choose softness, when you get to create a life that doesn't exhaust you. And that starts with something small, something ordinary, something you can do today without waiting for the perfect moment. Imagine this. You walk into your home at the end of a long day. The air feels still. The light is dimming. You sit in your favorite chair, the one that has seen your worries, your hopes, your quiet moments. You place a small flower next to it, maybe a daisy, maybe a sprig of lavender, something simple. You exhale, the kind of exhale that comes from deep inside, the kind you didn't even realize you were holding. And suddenly the room feels different. You feel different. Not because you changed everything, but because you made one gentle choice. This is how peace begins, not with a new house, a new life, or a new version of yourself, but with a small shift in your environment that slowly becomes a shift in your soul. So if you're sitting there wondering where to begin with what's in front of you. Begin with something small enough to feel possible. Healing doesn't need to be complicated. It just needs to be consistent. Open the window, remove one item, add a little soft light, place a small flower. And as the days pass, one small step at a time, your home will transform, not into a perfect place, but into a gentle one. And in that gentleness, you will begin to feel yourself returning. Because peace isn't found by chasing big changes. Peace is found by honoring small moments. Peace grows slowly, quietly, and beautifully, just like you. There's a quiet truth many of us forget as the years pass. Home is not just a place, it's a feeling we build, moment by moment. And sometimes the softest way to heal is simply to return to the spaces we've been too busy to notice. A warm light in the kitchen, a chair that has held us through decades of joy and worry. The small routines that once grounded us, waiting patiently for us to slow down. If you're longing for a gentler life, you don't need to start with big changes. Start with your home. Clear one shelf. Open a window. Let a little sunlight fall where it hasn't reached in a while. You'll be surprised how peace grows from the simplest places. Thank you for spending your time here with Simple Earth Studio. And if you enjoy moments like this, soft, quiet, and honest, feel free to subscribe so you won't miss any of the peaceful journeys ahead.